Aerial shots show the Cosumnes River winding through the lush foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains.
California's forests and waterways are not just vital ecosystems. They are battlegrounds in the fight against drought, wildfires, and environmental degradation. Today, we explore the efforts to protect and restore these critical landscapes. With funds provided by Congress through the Inflation Reduction Act, local land managers are breathing new life into entire landscapes.
On a map of the United States and Canada, boundaries for the restoration landscapes appear over the western states and Alaska, culminating in a map of the Cosumnes River landscape in California.
Specifically, 21 ecosystems in 11 states, like this one, connected to the Cosumnes River watershed.
The Cosumnes River winds through a green, grassy landscape, an aerial view of a California reservoir in severe drought. A shot from the front of a canoe as it glides over the water, looking out over the river. Sydney Fulford, a Caucasian woman wearing a plaid shirt and an orange scarf, who is from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, speaks to the camera in front of a riparian landscape.
I think part of it is water sustainability. California's been in a drought for a really long time. Preserving these waterways and making sure some of these plants aren't choking out the water flow and filling up with soil and stuff.
What may appear as a simple landscape, a stream winding through grass, masks a delicate and complex ecosystem.
A large white bird wades through shallow water. Fire engulfs a tall tree. Wildfire burns a hillside and thick smoke envelops a mountain landscape. The camera drives through a burned forest before returning to an aerial view of a healthy forest surrounding a river.
One especially sensitive to catastrophic wildfires. When the drought-stricken hills and mountains nearby get charred to a crisp, the soot and sediment left behind get washed into the river system. BLM partnered with Amanda Watson, director of the Amador Conservation District and coordinator for the local Fire Safe Council.
A small fire is shown burning brush on the forest floor. Amanda Watson, a Caucasian woman with blonde hair in a teal jacket, speaks to the camera in front of the previously treated forest.
To essentially mow the forest floor.
There are a large amount of brush in our forest. The fire intensity is actually much greater than what it used to be 100 or 200 years ago.
Shots showing intense wildfire activity, including a singular tree engulfed in flames, a close-up of flames in slow motion, and a wide-angle shot looking up at an active crown fire enveloping a forest.
And so that fire that was natural a couple hundred years ago, it's not the same type of fire we see now when we talk about wildfire. Wildfire now has much higher intensity, moves faster through the landscape.
A group of indigenous people participate in a traditional burn event on private lands in the foothills of California.
Historical practices like controlled burns and clearing brush, carried out by Native people for millennia, were vital to maintaining a healthier, more fire-resilient landscape.
A fire crew applies water to a fire. A helicopter drops water on a steep hillside. A firefighter uses a drip torch to ignite dry brush.
But modern suppression policies plus urban expansion disturbed that balance. Part of this historic funding is aimed at returning to an ecological equilibrium. Fire can be used to not only reduce fuel loads, but enhance the vegetation and renew the watershed.
We have a term in forest health management called WUI, which is the wildland-urban interface.
Examples of the wildland-urban interface, including fire burning next to a road, a dirt road leading to a burned hillside, and buildings surrounded by forest.
That means that when there are people or important infrastructure in our wildlands, there's different ways that we need to address that. A fire cannot be left to burn.
An out-of-control wildfire rapidly approaches a structure. A helicopter flies over a burning landscape, while two firefighters keep an eye out over a burning hillside. A tanker jet drops fire retardant onto a ridgeline. Eddie Struffenegger, a Caucasian man in a button-up shirt, speaks to the camera.
Because there's infrastructure, there's people's lives and community that needs to be protected.
Well, we're looking at the results of our fuel reduction efforts out here on Bureau of Land Management lands in Amador County.
A drone flies between trees on a recently treated landscape. The forest floor is largely barren while trunks of trees are blackened, showing the effects of the recent prescribed burn. The tree canopies are still fully intact.
This was a project that was conceived by a group of stakeholders out here, U.S. Forest Service, Sierra Pacific Industries, PG&E, and the Bureau of Land Management. A local consulting group, that's all volunteers, helped to put this grant together for the Amador Fire Safe Council.
Fire burns on the forest floor. BLM wildland firefighters spray water on a recently burned tree and dig a containment line across the side of a hill.
Partnerships like these are the backbone of projects aimed at wildfire mitigation and forest restoration. Grant funding, environmental compliance surveys, and community involvement ensure that these efforts protect natural resources and cultural resources.
A camera pans across a burning hillside at nighttime. Firefighters silhouetted in front of burning flames work to contain a wildfire at night.
The Dixie Fire burned almost 1 million acres up in Plumas County. The Camp Fire burned the town of Paradise, thousands of homes. So these are the kinds of catastrophic events that we're trying to prevent here by doing the activities that you see around us on this fuel break here.
A close-up shot of intense flames in slow motion fades away to a shot of the sunlight piercing through the forest canopy. Aerial shots show a landscape with reduced brush and the Cosumnes River flowing through the hills bathed in evening sunlight.
There is hope. From strategic removal of overgrown brush that fuels forest fires to habitat restoration, these efforts help to reduce the risks associated with uncontrollable wildfires while preserving the delicate ecosystems that make California's forests and rivers unique.
Sydney Fulford speaks to the camera. Sydney examines plants in a grassy field and then releases a snake back onto the ground.
All of these different mosaic of plants around us. I think it's really great to be able to come out here and see all the little details up close.
Eddie Struffenegger speaks to the camera as he stands in an area of cleared forest. The camera tilts down from the sky, showing the trunks of mature trees.
You can envision that this was brush between 8 and 10 foot high. To see the transition from that kind of a forest stand where you have a lot of understory vegetation to what we see right here today is in my mind really gratifying.
A drone flies by the crown of a tree surrounded by fog. Aerial shots show the full extent of the landscape, with the river running through the forested hills.
The journey to safeguard California's forests from catastrophic fires is far from over. But with dedication and collaboration, these partners hope they can achieve a balance between humanity's needs and nature's needs.
The film ends with the Bureau of Land Management logo, along with a graphic of the title. From forest fires to flowing rivers, restoring California's waterways and wildlands. The credits show the contributors to this film. Directed by Chris Lett. Narrated by David Howell. Photography/field producer, Jesse Plume. Aerial photography by Sam Cox. Special thanks to the BLM California State Office, National Interagency Fire Center, BLM National Training Center, Amador Fire Safe Council, Amador Resource Conservation District, Cosumnes River Preserve, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and UC Davis/Alicia Beck.